graphic design, directing, indirect.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Premanjali Devi Dasi.
Hare Krishna, Premanjali
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna.
This is Lila Manjari Devi Dasi.
Prabhupada.
Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, Guru and Garanga. How are you?
I'm very good, Mataji. It's nice to hear from you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
I didn't hear your voice in the last 3-4 sessions.
No, I've had some things going on, and so I told Mata that I told Manasi Ganga that I would listen in if I could, but please don't assign me anything because my schedule's been real busy. So I was able to tune in tonight, so I'm happy about that.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah. It's always good to connect.
Yes. We, Manasi. Me and Manasi Ganga talked on last night, and so we connect. She's talking about turning her home in Indiana into a preaching center.
Yeah, that's a big project, huh?
Yeah, she's excited though.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it is very exciting.
Yes.
So wish you the very best with your project, like, thinking about it, going through it.
Yeah.
It's all exciting.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Lila Manjari Mataji, and Premanjali Mataji. This is Govardhan Lila. I just wanted to say I'm on, and that's it. I'm just really happy to be connected. Very happy.
Since we have the two of you, like, should we get started with the prayers?
Yeah, sure.
Hare Krishna. Who else is on the call?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Anybody else on the call? Okay, at least we can get started. This is a nice group. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Karamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yutapadakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrindam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Tirayat Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishtaki. Welcome, Manasi Ganga Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
would it be possible if someone, maybe Govardhan Lila Mataji can call Shanti Mataji and Prabhala Madri Mataji can maybe call Janva Mataji? Prabhala Madri Mataji, do you have Janva Mataji's number?
Yes, Mataji, I can call her.
Okay, I'll call Shanti Mataji.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. So I'm supposed to cover Canto 2, Chapter 10, Text 4 and 5. Chapter 10 is entitled Bhagavatam is the answer to all questions. So, Manasi Ganga Mataji
And we pranam all guys to Sila
or Premanjali Mataji, do you have a book in front of you?
Yes.
I do too.
Okay. So, Premanjali Mataji, would you like to read text 4?
Okay. Can you get someone to do the Sanskrit? I do such a poor job. I'll read the
Sure, I can read the Sanskrit for you and then you can continue, okay?
Okay.
Sthitish Vaikunta Vijaya Poshanam Tad Anugraha Manvantarani Sadharma Utthaya Karma Vashana.
Okay. Translation. The right situation for the living entities is to obey the law of the Lord and thus be in perfect peace of mind under the protection of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Manus and their laws are meant to give right direction in life. The impetus for activity is the desire for futile work. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. This material world is created, maintained for some time, and again annihilated by the will of the Lord. The ingredients for creation and the subordinate creator, Brahma, are first created by Lord Vishnu in his first and second incarnations. The first Purusa incarnation is Mahavishnu, and the second Purusa incarnation is the Garbhodakshi Vishnu, from whom Brahma is created. The third Purusa avatar is the Kishorodakshi Vishnu, who lives as the super soul of everything in the universe and maintains the creation generated by Brahma. Shiva is one of the many sons of Brahma, and he annihilates the creation. Therefore, the original creator of the universe is Vishnu, and he is also the maintainer of the created beings by his causeless mercy. As such, it is the duty of all conditioned souls to acknowledge the victory of the Lord and thus become pure devotees and live peacefully in this world where miseries and dangers are always in existence. The conditioned souls who take the material creation as the place for satisfaction of the senses and thus are illusioned by the eternal energy of Vishnu remain again to be subjected to the laws of material nature, creation, and destruction. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that beginning from the topmost planet of this universe down to the lowest planet, Partaloka, all are destructible, and the conditioned souls may travel in space either by good or bad work or by modern spacecraft, but they are sure to die everywhere. Although the duration of life in different planets is different, the only means to attain eternal life is to go back home, back to Godhead, where there is no more rebirth as in the material planets. The conditioned souls, being unaware of this very simple fact because of forgetting their relationship with the Lord of Vaikuntha, try to plan out a permanent life in this material world. Being illusioned by the external energy, they thus become engaged in various types of economic and religious development, forgetting that they are meant for going back home, back to Godhead. This forgetfulness is so strong due to the influence of Maya that the conditioned souls do not at all want to go back to Godhead. By sense enjoyment, they become victims of birth and death repeatedly and thus spoil human lives, which are chances for going back to Vishnu. The directive scriptures made by the Manus in different ages and millenniums are called Sad Dharma, good guidance, for the human beings who should take advantage of all the revealed scriptures for their own interest to make life's successful termination. The creation is not false, but is temporary manifestation, not to give a chance for the conditioned souls to go back to Godhead. The desire to go back to Godhead and functions performed in that direction from the right path of work. When such a regulative path is accepted, the Lord gives all protection to his devotees by his causeless mercy, while the non-devotees risk their own activities to bind themselves to a chain of fruitive reactions. The word Sat-Dharma is significant in this connection. Sat-Dharma, or duty performance, for going back to Godhead and thus becoming his unalloyed devotee, is the only pious activity. All others may pretend to be pious, but actually they are not. It is for this reason only that the Lord advises in the Bhagavad Gita that one give up all so-called religious activities and completely engage in the devotional service of the Lord to become free from all miseries due to the dangerous life of material existence. To work situated in Sat Dharma is the right direction of life. One's aim of life should be to go back home, back to Godhead, and not to be subjected to repeated births and deaths in this material world by getting good or bad bodies for temporary existence. Herein lies the intelligence of human life, and one should desire the activities of life in that way.
Thank you, Mataji, for reading.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. Would you like to read the text 5, verse 5?
Are you talking to me?
I was asking Manasi Ganga Mataji. She said she
Yes, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you. I'm sorry, I didn't realize I was on mute still. Okay, so text 5. Avataran nucharitam hare chasyan nivartanam pumsamisa kata prokta nanakhiyanno pabrimhitaha. Translation. The science of God describes the incarnations of the personality of Godhead and its different activities together with the activities of his great devotees. Purport. During the course of the existence of the cosmic manifestation, the chronology of history is created, recording the activities of the living entities. People in general have a tendency to learn the history and narrations of different men and times, but due to a lack of knowledge in the science of Godhead, they are not apt to study the history of the incarnations of the personality of Godhead. It should always be remembered that the material creation is created for the salvation of the conditioned souls. The merciful Lord, out of his causeless mercy, descends to various planets in the material world and acts for the salvation of the conditioned souls. That makes the history and narrations worth reading. Srimad Bhagavatam offers such transcendental topics of the Lord in relationship with great devotees. Therefore, the topics of the devotees and the Lord are to be given respectful oral reciprocation or reception.
Thank you, Manasi Ganga Mataji. So, Premanjali Mataji, you missed the first 3 verses of this chapter. And
did I?
Huh?
I said I did.
Yeah. So
mine.
Yes, go ahead.
The first 3 verses.
Yeah.
So after the translation, you mean in the purport?
No. I meant to say, like yesterday, you weren't there for class, right?
Oh, okay. Now I understand. Okay. Hare Krishna. Okay.
Yeah. So we have been uploading these classes to YouTube. So if you want, like, you can go back and listen. It was a very, very beautiful class that Govardhan Lila Mataji shared with us. So her class, in brief, it describes about the Manasi Ganga Mataji can send you the link to the YouTube videos, and her class actually describes that there are 10 topics in Srimad Bhagavatam. So, and she went into detail describing all of those 10 topics. So, like the main, I don't remember all the 10, but there were these main topics that I remember, and maybe somebody can add depending on what they remember. First is Sarga and Visarga, which means the first creation, and then the secondary creation, the primary creation and the secondary creation. And for the maintenance of the living entities by the Lord, the situation where how the planetary systems are located and situated, and what is the creative impetus, like what happens, like why does everything work in this world, and anybody else wants to add? The last one I remember is the Samam Bonam. Samam Bonam means it describes about Krishna. And anybody else remembers what are the other topics of Srimad Bhagavatam? I think I covered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there are 5 more. And there is portion on protection. Yes, protection by the Lord. There is also Manvantara, I think. Changes of
There's the creative impetus. There's the change of manus, and the science of God, the Icha Anupata, and the Nirodha, the dissolution, and let me see, Mukti, liberation, before we come to Ashraya, or the supreme shelter. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So this order is actually described in the first verse of this chapter. So these are the 10 topics of Srimad Bhagavatam, and it is said that there are many Puranas, 18 Puranas. There are 18 Puranas, and some of them are the Mahapuranas. Mahapuranas means that it covers all the 10 topics that are covered in Srimad Bhagavatam. So Srimad Bhagavatam is also one of the Mahapuranas, and there are other Puranas also which describe all the 10 topics. Like Vishnu Purana, it is followed by in Sri Sampradaya. So they read the Vishnu Purana as we read Srimad Bhagavatam. So the important point that we have to gather from the discussion is that all the 9 other topics would remain completely material if it is not connected to the 10th topic. The 10th topic is the Supreme Lord, or the Samam Bonam. So if we connect these 9 topics to Krishna, then everything becomes spiritual. And in fact, the discussion of these 9 topics is actually only with one goal. The goal is that we want to re-establish a connection with Krishna. So in that sense, Parikshit Maharaj is asking so many questions, and Sukadeva Goswami is elaborately giving so many answers and describing about the location of the planets in the universe, how Brahma creates it, and finally how it is dissolved, how the Manus come to rule over this material creation, how they change, and how a person can attain liberation. And liberation in Srimad Bhagavatam does not mean that we merge into the impersonal Brahman, but actually to re-establish a connection with Krishna, how we go back to Godhead, and what is the reason why all this is created, and like what is the motivation with which people work. Uttaya actually means impetus to work. So that is also one of the topics. So all these are described, but as devotees of Krishna, as we are studying Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam's purpose is to connect us to Krishna, and it does by describing all these other 9 topics. So in one sense, actually, in text 5, it is described that the signs of God describes about God and his incarnations and his and also about his devotees. So it is important to learn about Krishna and his activities. Why? Because unless we understand about Krishna, his personality, his glories, his pastimes, we will not be able to completely fall in love with the person. For example, like speaking in terms of relationships, I have known Govardhan Lila Mataji for about at least 5 years, maybe more. So there is something like I can say, okay, I know her enough to actually like a person, to like their qualities. So now, now if I think about Premanjali Mataji, I will think that, yes, she is a devotee of the Lord, but I have not interacted with her enough to glorify her and glorify her qualities. So similarly with Krishna, when we have to understand Krishna, we have to understand how great God is. And Srila Prabhupada always says that we know that God is great, but we do not know enough to know how great actually God is. So in Srimad Bhagavatam, this is one of the subject matters. The signs of God describes the incarnations of the personality of Godhead, his different activities, together with the activities of his great devotees. So when we actually appreciate how Krishna is taking care of his devotees, how he is interacting with his devotees, then our appreciation for Krishna grows and increases. And Srila Prabhupada actually says in like very nice manner that the whole purpose of this material creation is actually to help us go back home, back to Godhead. And if any of us have studied Srila Prabhupada's books, and if any of us have come across critics who critic books, one of the criticisms that Srila Prabhupada often received was that Prabhupada, this purport is not talking about Bhakti Yoga, but still you write about Bhakti Yoga. So many people who knew Sanskrit used to come and criticize Prabhupada by saying, Prabhupada, this purport talks about Karma Yoga, or this purport, this verse in Bhagavad Gita talks only about Jnana Yoga, but why are you talking about Bhakti? But Srila Prabhupada, it is his compassion that irrespective of whatever was the purport in Srimad Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita, he always draws our attention to our relationship to Krishna, Bhakti. And scholars may criticize him, but he was a devotee and he wanted to sow that seed of love for God in each of our hearts. So that's why whenever we read Prabhupada's book, he always talks about this point. He says that the whole purpose of creation is to go back home, back to Godhead. So, and that is the most important part or the essence of human life. And, just for a second, look at the world around us or think about ourselves before we became devotees. I can think about myself before I became a devotee or before I came in contact with Srila Prabhupada's books and the devotees. Many people think, okay, you guys, you have grown up in, the Hindu tradition, you are from India. It must be easy for you, like we are struggling here. But it's not true. Everybody in the material world is struggling. It is therefore called Dukkhalayam Ashashvatam. When we were growing up in India, and it is still a popular concept, and anybody who associates with material world has this very popular concept. Their understanding of good work is that we have to perform pious work, is that we have to perform good deeds. In fact, they openly criticize anything that has anything to do with religion. My uncle, he is born in a so-called Brahmin family. So, but whenever I speak something about Krishna, he immediately comes and sits next to me. And with whomever I'm speaking about Krishna, he will say, you know what, we have to perform good deeds. If we go and help the person who is next to us, it is better than in one sense he's saying it is better than just sitting and chanting your rounds. And so the point is that everybody like in this material world is struggling, but they don't understand where real happiness lies. And what Srila Prabhupada and the Acharyas are trying to do is to actually turn our attention completely away from all these fruitive activities, from all this Jnana-kanda, which actually takes our attention away from bhakti, and completely focus our attention only on one singular point, that is bhakti to Krishna. And it's true, actually, what in one sense, like, I'm not saying what my uncle is saying is wrong, because if we have not come in contact with the disciplic succession, everybody naturally wants to be happy. And their idea of finding happiness is to do something good for others. They want to help others. But the real, when they want to go and help others, they usually want to go and help others on a material platform, because they are identifying themselves as a body. So what they want to do is go and feed poor people. I want to go and help in cancer patients. I want to go and have schools and feed hungry people. So we are not against it. When we are talking about bhakti, we are not against any of this philanthropic work. But it's important to understand that the real happiness of a soul, because we are spirit soul, first of all, it is important to understand that we are spirit soul. And it is important to understand that our real happiness lies in pleasing Krishna. So now this is the whole secret. The secret is, first of all, to understand that we are a spirit soul. And I went through half of my, I cannot say, a quarter of my life. If I were to live 100 years, at least for 22 years of my life, I thought that I am this body. I still feel I am this body because I'm not out of that material conception. But a person's life will completely change if they just understand that they're spirit soul. And it is not an easy thing to understand that they are spirit soul, because all we see around us is matter. Matter, 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 and matter. The 16 elements that Govardhan Lila Mataji was describing yesterday, it's all matter. All we see is matter, and we think in terms of matter. And we are indoctrinated since our childhood in schools, that all that is matter. So first, to understand that a soul exists is the most confidential knowledge. It's very confidential. And that is actually given in scriptures. That's why we need the assistance of scriptures. So here it is said that the Manus and their laws are meant to give right direction in life. And so whatever the scriptures that have been given to us actually describe this confidential knowledge about the soul. And some people may even understand, come to understand that actually I'm not matter, but I'm spirit soul. So even more confidential than understanding that we are spiritual beings is to understand that behind all this material creation, there is God who exists. Nowadays, this knowledge is totally lost. For 22 years, I was studying, and never was there a mention of God in any of the pages of science books. The problem with it is that, yes, we can continue doing all this materialistic work, but we really miss the actual happiness that human form of life can actually derive. We miss the whole point. We all want to be happy, but we miss the whole point if we just keep thinking in terms of matter. And so the most confidential knowledge, even more confidential than knowing that that we are spiritual entities, is to know that God is behind all this creation. And the best part of it, which Srila Prabhupada explains in every purport, is to know that we, although we are tiny, tiny, tiny creatures, are still related to God. And He is willing to accept our service. When we do even little bit of service, with the understanding that I want to please God, I'm doing this service just to please God. And that is the whole objective of what I'm doing. When we just understand that, and with that from our heart, and we act like that, there is a happiness that the spiritual being experiences, and that is not material happiness. Material happiness means the senses are coming in contact with sense objects and we experience some pleasure. But that pleasure is very, very insignificant in comparison to the amount of pleasure that a spiritual being can actually experience. And that pleasure that we can get when we are trying to be a servant of Krishna is actual spiritual happiness. It is a happiness which is not coming from like, okay, I'm trying to please myself, I'm trying to please my body, I'm trying to please my family members, I'm trying to please the society. It's different from all of that. We all want to be happy, and we are desperately trying in all these ways to become happy. But the happiness that the soul experiences when it tries even slightly to please Krishna's senses is actual spiritual happiness. And Prabhupada is actually trying to give us that. So here he says, in the Bhagavad Gita it is said that the beginning from the topmost planet of this universe down to the lowest planet, Patala Loka, all are destructible. And the conditioned soul may travel in space either by good or bad work or by modern spacecraft, but he is sure to die everywhere, although the duration of life on different planets is different. So see, this is the point. The point is that anywhere in material creation, even when people talk like my uncle, who really likes to help people and who really wants to do something good for others, the limitation of material pious and impious activities are we are still bound to this world. We get bound by such karma, whether it is good or bad or in between, whatever it is. And we become subjected to repeated birth, death, old age, and disease. So the only means to attain eternal life is to go back home, back to Godhead, where there is no more rebirth in material planets. The conditioned souls, being unaware of this very simple fact, because of forgetting their relationship with the Lord of Vaikuntha, try to plan out a permanent life in this material world. This is what almost the entire planet is trying to do. They want to be happy, and they're trying desperately to be happy in this material world. But Prabhupada is saying that it is not possible unless we establish a relationship with the Lord. Permanent life actually starts only in Vaikuntha. Being illusioned by the external energy, they become engaged in various types of economic and religious development, forgetting that they are meant for going back home, back to Godhead. And Prabhupada is reiterating, like, we become so illusioned by the matter that surrounds us that we completely forget that God exists. The forgetfulness is so strong due to the influence of Maya that the conditioned soul do not at all want to go back to Godhead. By sense enjoyment, they become victims of birth and death repeatedly and thus spoil human life, which are chances for going back to Vishnu. The directive scriptures made by Manus in different ages and millenniums are called Sadharma, good guidance for human beings, who should take advantage of all the revealed scriptures for their own interest and make life successful termination. So this word actually, in this verse, Sadharma, is very, very important actually. Sadharma means that by following revealed scriptures, we try to understand what actually our purpose is, what actually the purpose of life is. And Prabhupada explains this. The creation is not false, but it is a temporary manifestation just to give a chance for conditioned souls to go back to Godhead. The desire to go back to Godhead and functions performed in that direction form the right path of work. When such regulative path is accepted, the Lord gives all protection to his devotees by his causeless mercy, while the non-devotees risk their own activities to bind themselves in the chain of fruitive action. The word Sadharma is significant in this connection. Sadharma, or duty performed for going back to Godhead, and thus becoming his unalloyed devotees, is the only pious activity. All others may pretend to be pious, but actually they are not. It is for this reason only that the Lord advises in Bhagavad Gita that one give up all so-called religious activities and completely engage in devotional service of the Lord to become free from all anxieties due to the dangerous life of material existence. To work situated in Sadharma is the right direction of life. One's aim of life should be to go back home, back to Godhead, and not be subjected to repeated birth and death in the material world by getting good or bad bodies for temporary existence. Herein lies the intelligence of human life, and one should desire the activities of life in that way. So Srila Prabhupada is making it absolutely clear. He's saying that whatever we do, especially as devotees of the Lord, especially after coming in contact with these teachings of Srila Prabhupada, this is the best opportunity for us to utilize our human form of life. I mean, if we had not come in contact with Srila Prabhupada's teachings, that was a whole different story. We would be lost somewhere in the material world. And we would not even, Maya is so strong, she will convince us that we are not lost. We are good. We are happy. In fact, anyway, I won't go there, but it is said that, Indra once became a pig. And even when he was a pig, he was very satisfied. He thought of his little piglets and his pig wife, and he felt very satisfied. So Maya is so strong. Irrespective of whatever body we take, she will convince us that there are ways to enjoy it, and there are ways to enjoy our senses. She is very powerful. She is a pure devotee of the Lord and completely empowered by the Lord. But since we have become so fortunate by coming in contact with Srila Prabhupada and his teachings, we have to watch where our mind is taking us. If our mind is still absorbed, and let's be honest here, I mean, at least I can speak for myself. My mind is always absorbed in anxieties. It's always thinking about how to solve the next problem. And the beauty of it is that I see everything as a problem. Everything is a problem. But somewhere we have to slow down. Somewhere we have, now I'm preaching to myself. Somewhere we have to tell, at least during the time when we are performing direct devotional activities like japa or reading Srimad Bhagavatam, we have to tell the mind, please calm down, my dear mind. We have tried so many different things and it's not going to work. We have seen that repeatedly both of us together have only become more entangled and more miserable. We think of happiness, but happiness does not come unless together we serve Krishna. So at least during the time of japa, I mean, again, like, this is more for myself. At least that is the time to keep everything aside and try to bring our attention to please Krishna. At least when we are performing some direct devotional activities like Srimad Bhagavatam, reading Srimad Bhagavatam, or worshipping the deities, or distributing Srila Prabhupada's books. These are such powerful items of devotional service. At least during that time, we have to plead and beg the mind to keep all these other things aside, because the tendency is so strong, like Prabhupada is saying, Maya is so strong, she'll convince us that we are fine. She'll convince us that, yes, to take care of all these things is the most important thing to do. Otherwise, how will we survive? But through scriptures, through good association, and by prayer, I mean, there are so many ways, but we have to use these things to bring the mind back, and not only bring the mind, to bring our heart into these devotional activities, so that we can become, we can truly serve Krishna, instead of just trying to mindlessly serve our senses and this body, and things that are related to this body. So that's all I had to say. If anybody would like to add.
Yes, that was very nice class. Thank you so much, Premanjali Devi Dasi. I just wanted to add that I wish that I practiced bhakti, devotional service to Krishna to please him. And that's my goal, that's my aspiration, is to perform activities for the pleasure of the Lord. But that's not true for me today. I practice bhakti and devotional service because it transcends me out of these three modes of material nature and puts me on the platform of pure goodness, where I'm out of the clutches of Maya. I had a devotee who gave me the holy names. He used to describe it as Maya is like a snake with fangs, and she's always biting. But when you transcend the three modes of material nature, Maya's still biting, but it has defanged her, so you don't feel the sting. So I thought that was amazing. So that's why I practice, because it removes me from all these miseries and dangers of the material world. I can tell that my perspective and it's like what Jesus said, I'm in the world but not of the world. And it's almost like, I've been placed offset of it, and I see it going on, but I'm not involved in it. So I just wanted to add that. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Yes, thank you, Mataji. Thank you for sharing. Yes, it is true. Like, we actually just said that devotees don't have to try separately for liberation. As soon as they perform any kind of devotional activity, they become liberated. Liberated means they become out of the clutches of the modes of material nature. Yeah, and I really like the analogy of the snake.
Very well.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Lila Manjari Mataji. This is Govardhan Lila. I just want to thank you very much for a very comprehensive class. And, the way you explained it, it's just unbelievable. I have to waver when I'm practicing devotional service. I waver between, am I just doing this for liberation, which is what you were talking about, Premanjali Mataji, if I understood correctly, you know, like to get out of the clutches of this, of Maya and this material existence. Am I doing these devotional activities just to alleviate suffering, to alleviate, you know, or to know that my karma can be burned, you know, when I'm chanting japa? Because sometimes that's what goes on in my head, like Premanjali Mataji was saying. You know, I think of those things. So therefore, I'm not at that prema stage, obviously, where there are times when I do it for pure love of God, but it's not all the time. I know that's the ultimate goal. I know prema's the ultimate goal, something to strive for. But I still find myself many times going back to, gosh, you know, I've suffered so much. Just the alleviation of suffering is unbelievable in Krishna consciousness through the chanting of the Maha Mantra. And the fact that certain sins are the tendency to commit certain sins is not there anymore. Not all of them, obviously, but many of them. And my consciousness, I'm a little more careful when I say things, and you know, just watching how am I talking to this particular person. It doesn't have to be somebody in the movement, you know, to anybody, because we're all ultimately devotees. I mean, hopefully, we're all devotees. We all get the mercy of the Lord, and everybody deserves, you know, to be treated right. So yeah, there are times when I see where my motivation is not prema, and I want it to be there. And I think my impediment has been that there was so much internal suffering for so many years, emotional and physical. I've been in physical pain for years. And so sometimes it's hard to sift through that and know that, you know, the ultimate goal here is for Krishna. And I believe, you know, I have faith through what I've heard, through many lectures, through all the advanced devotees and devotees like yourself and others, that it will come. And I think once the clearing, and I think part of the clearing of all of this, of these anarthas, etc., is that we won't want to sin. We won't want to be involved so much in this illusory energy, and we won't suffer as much because the Lord has protected us. So maybe I'm reiterating, but just giving my understanding. And I just loved your class. It was beautiful, Lila Manjari Mataji. Thank you.
Thank you, Govardhan Lila Mataji. Actually, even I also operate in the same phase. Sometimes it's even lower than what you described. Sometimes I'm just so mindless. I don't even consider that I'm chanting Krishna's name, and it can alleviate me from all these sinful. Like even to think of those things is good, I feel. But sometimes it's like really mindless. But you know, actually, when I went to India, like I went and, you know, it wasn't planned, but I met two people. And they looked at me, and they were two different people, two different occasions. They looked at me and they said, "You are a devotee of Krishna. What makes you so unhappy?" And it was like a slap on my face, because as devotees of Krishna, we are supposed to be happy. So then, you know, one of the person said, like, your heart chakra is really weak. And then, like, you know, I started thinking, like, what can I do? Like, of course, this is selfish again. Like, you know, why is it like that? What can I do? And then I saw that in almost all of my devotional practices, including my interaction with devotees, I'm just doing it as a chore. It's a beautiful devotional activity, but it's no more than a chore. I'm interacting with devotees, but it's like, let's get this done so I can move on to the next thing. My life had become so mechanical that I was like becoming very unhappy. But then I had to, through good association, that's all I can say, through good association, through Srila Prabhupada's books. The key is that he actually, in fact, like they were not devotees, but they told me, like, whatever activity you do, please do it from your heart. They were not devotees. I just met them accidentally. But they told me, whatever activity you do it from your heart. So now I was just trying to bring that into my devotional life. Like, to try my best to chant from my heart, to serve the deities with my heart, to interact with devotees with my heart.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that, Lila Manjari Mataji. I mean, I've noticed since you were in India, I've noticed a huge change in you, huge change. And it's really beautiful. So I just wanted to tell you that. I'll talk to you about that later, but very, very big change. Very good change, actually.
Thank you, Mataji.
Wow.
Thank you for being my friend.
So, yeah, Mataji, thank you for such a beautiful class, and thank you everybody else for exposing their heart in what they had to say. And so, I mean, I too, of course, am on the same platform, but I'm just thinking about how they say that this love for Krishna is the closest that we could know of it is like the love a mother has for a child. So like a mother, she gives birth to a child, and that child is dependent on the mother, and through childbirth there's so much pain, and she's always giving. Mother will always give. You wake up in the middle of the night to the baby who's got a fever. There we go. Middle of the night, baby's crying, fever, but you're still giving. You're still giving. You're still giving. And what a mother needs is, at that point, a young child, there's, the child is not, all the child is doing is accepting all this, accepting all this care, and is not reciprocating with the mother, at least at the beginning stages. And I believe that, that's where I am, and that's what, what I'm trying to say is that a mother needs to be patient, or and have belief that that child loves, all this activity that the mother is giving towards that child. We have to have faith as a mother that this is not in vain. You're doing it selflessly, and eventually that child at a certain stage will smile at you and laugh, and it's just such a beautiful feeling to get this reciprocation. It's not the child, was not accepting these things, previously. It's just that now you were there to accept that outward expression, and you were able to see that child was appreciating it. And I'm thinking that, we're giving. We're all talking about how we're trying our best, we're still self-centered, and Krishna is not in the center of our life. He's not, but just like that baby, Krishna is accepting all of this. He's accepting it, and when we look hard enough, we will see that smile. We will see him reciprocating. It's not that he's not seeing it. We're not at that platform. We're not like the gopis. We're not, but we just have to keep on moving on, and we have to keep on putting that endeavor into it. And just like a mother, what does a child do? A child, tears your body as it leaves, and it it keeps you up, and you go from a nice thin body to all this extra weight, and but it's worth it. And so what I'm saying is, we're not at that platform of the gopis, but we're moving towards that, and Krishna is smiling, just like that baby. He is smiling that you're making that effort. Of course, he knows that we're not doing this purely, but that doesn't mean that we need to beat ourselves up, because that relationship is growing. And, and here I am, I have children 25 and 28 or whatever, and I can reciprocate, right? And so it's not that Krishna can't reciprocate, it's that we can't see his reciprocation because we don't have those eyes, we don't have that heart yet, necessarily, or we do, but maybe it's, we don't place that highly enough in our value system. But what I'm saying is, we're down at the bottom, and we realize that we have to reach towards the sky. And but what it does is it's one day at a time, and reflecting, and like Lila Manjari said, put your heart into it. I mean, you're only going to get back as much as you put in. So if you put your heart into it, then Krishna's going to put his heart into his reciprocation to us. And so, I was hearing like everybody, it was to a certain point, it sounded like, it was a little depressing to me to hear that, but I don't know. So I'm just thinking that, yeah, we're down. Our relationship is not where it should be at. But just like the mother, just keep plowing and moving forward, and your love, like the love that a mother has for a baby at the beginning is not anywhere near the love that she has for the child when he's 20 or something. It grows. And so just keep on doing what you're doing. Keep on serving Krishna, just like a mother serves a child, and the love develops, it grows. And it's through the service to the child that the mother's love grows. So it's through the service to Krishna that your love will grow. And even though, let's say an activity, if there's on a scale of 0 to 100, even though I may be only giving 3% of what what I could be giving, as time goes on, like I see myself, trying to please Krishna more, and I'm sure all of us are seeing that. But it's only when we get to know Krishna that, like Lila Manjari says, you have to know somebody to really begin to love somebody. And so what are we doing? I mean, we have to serve by reading Srimad Bhagavatam, reading the Leelas. Oh, the Leelas, it just like opens a whole different perspective, to just learn the philosophy about Krishna. That's like step one. But to hear his activities is just so it brings a person into who Krishna is, as opposed to like, oh, he's the maintainer. Yes, we have to understand how big he is compared to us, but it gives that personal aspect. And so, yeah, I'm just seeing that, like, as I read more about Krishna's pastimes, like I can see how, like I'm more attracted. Like I want to go and I want to learn more, and read more about his Leelas. So I don't know. That's what I was thinking. I'm sorry. I'm not making any sense.
Thank you for sharing.
Sorry,
Yes, I find that it's my attachment to the material world that stagnates my love of God. It's like I don't have the big, gross material desires, but I still have the small, little bitty desires. Like I like good smelling body wash when I take a shower, and I still want to offer palatable foods to Krishna. Let me fix this because I know I'll get the remnants. And different things like that. I don't have the gross desire for sex life anymore, and I don't have the gross desire to eat meat anymore, a part of 4 regulative principles to gamble or to ingest intoxicants. But I still do have those small material desires, and I believe they stagnate me from pure love of God. It's like when I get to a point where the material world has nothing to offer me, and that I can live like the sadhus in India, where they just have one piece of cloth that they wash and put on daily, and all they do is chant the holy names and eat whatever is available. I mean, that is amazing. That's pure love of God. The material world has nothing for them. They don't want anything here, and so that's what I see.
Mataji, today, coincidentally, I was hearing a lecture of Srila Prabhupada. If you get a chance, it was not a lecture, it didn't have audio, just if you go on prabhupadvani.org, Prabhupada speaks about chapter 5, Bhagavad Gita chapter 5, text 3 and 3 to 7.
Okay.
And Prabhupada actually speaks on this topic of renunciation. And he explains it in such a nice way. So,
okay.
I think it will be very nice if you want to read it. And, regarding the body wash and nice body wash and stuff like that, I think you can really dovetail it, in Krishna service. You can think, see, look, after this, I have to go in front of Krishna, and I want to go in front of Krishna in a very nice way.
Okay. Okay. Oh, and Manasi Ganga, please send me the YouTube link for Govardhan Leela's class on yesterday.
I still have to upload
it. Yeah, you have to upload it. I just checked earlier and I didn't see it on there, but I can send you the link early, and whenever she gets to, you're going to be looking for 210, 1 through 3. It's not there yet. Maybe check tomorrow or whenever.
I didn't upload it yet, but as soon as I upload it, I will. Maybe your email ID is on, but I'm not sure. But I'll definitely send it to Manasi Ganga Mataji, because I think your email ID is also there.
Yeah. Sandra Johnson.
SNDR.Johnson.
Yes. Yes, that's
Okay.
me at gmail.com. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
And in response to Manasi Ganga Mataji's question, actually, I'll keep it really short. There is a sweet pastime of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Sanatan Goswami. Sanatan Goswami ran away from his ministerial service, and while he was running, his body was completely bruised because he didn't take the path that he had to take, like that ordinary people take. So he was actually running through the forest, and somewhere he drank some water that was contaminated. So he had all these bruises on his body and some kind of infection. And when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw Sanatan Goswami, every time he would see him, he would come and embrace Sanatan Goswami. And Sanatan Goswami would feel so embarrassed because all that yucky stuff was actually now on Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's body. So, finally, like, he was so disgusted with himself. He didn't want that. As soon as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw Sanatan Goswami, he would come and embrace him. So he wanted to avoid that. So one day he felt like, I'm useless. Like, I just have to give up my life. So when the Jagannath cart will be pulled, I will place my body in front of the cart and I will die. So when he was thinking like this, somehow the news reached Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he came to Sanatan Goswami and he said, when you said you have surrendered unto me, it means your body also belongs to me. So how can you take my property and destroy it? And then Sanatan Goswami was even more embarrassed. And he said, don't think that these things on your body, like, are disturbing me. Just like when a child is small and he's pooping, still the mother loves it. And what he did was he finally embraced Sanatan Goswami, and immediately all the that wounds on his body, they immediately vanished. So Krishna can take away our material attachments, our material conditioning in 1 second. All it takes is 1 second for him. But we have to patiently wait for his mercy.
Thank you. It was very nice. Thank you.
You made an interesting point that I think that this is important for me to now integrate is when you said that now Sanata Goswami's body is Sri Chaitanya's like possession, and so maybe that will help, to move along with just understand how when we do service and we want to become Krishna's devotee, that this body itself is property of, that's it. I don't know. That just struck me when you said that. I need to start thinking about that.
Yes, Mataji. Anyone else on the call who wants to say something, couldn't get a chance to speak? It's already 10 after 6, but like one final comment or something from someone who has not spoken yet. Thank you all for the night.
Have a good night. Haribol.
Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji.
Yeah, thank you all. I will share tomorrow. Okay. Thank you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.